Every single year, the United States sends approximately $3.8 billion in military assistance to one country, through budget crises, political shifts, and changing administrations. The number barely moves. Since 1945, the U.S. has used its UN Security Council veto over 80 times. More than 40 of those vetoes blocked resolutions critical of Israel. No other bilateral relationship produces numbers like these. The question is not whether this relationship exists. It clearly does. The question is why it has survived every political change in Washington for 75 years. Friendship alone does not explain that. Strategy does. Is this about shared values, genuine alliance, or a coldly calculated business arrangement that benefits both sides? The honest answer is probably all three. Simultaneously. Let's break it down. To understand this relationship, go back to the Cold War. The Middle East sits at the intersection of three continents. It holds the world's largest oil reserves. And in the 1950s, the Soviet Union was aggressively competing for influence across every Arab state in the region. Washington needed a reliable, stable, pro-Western partner in the region, not a temporary ally that might switch sides after an election. A structurally committed partner with its own powerful reasons to stay aligned with the United States. Former Secretary of State Alexander Haig described Israel as the largest American aircraft carrier in the world, one that cannot be sunk, does not require American personnel, and sits in the most strategically critical region on Earth. A permanent U.S. military base in the region requires troops on the ground. That creates political friction, enormous costs, and local resentment. A strong Israeli military provides comparable deterrence. Without any of those complications, the Middle East supplies a significant portion of global oil. Any hostile power dominating the region gains leverage over the entire global economy. For Washington, having a powerful Western-aligned state there is not optional. It is structural. Here is something that rarely appears in mainstream coverage. Approximately 75% of American military aid to Israel must be spent purchasing American military equipment. The money goes to Israel. Then it comes straight back. This means American aid to Israel directly supports American defense industry jobs. Lockheed Martin, Boeing, Raytheon. Major contractors receive significant revenue that traces back to the U.S.-Israel aid package. It is simultaneously foreign policy and domestic economic policy. But the financial flow is only part of the story. Israel operates American weapons in real combat environments. That operational data is extraordinarily valuable. No laboratory can replicate what happens when equipment faces actual conflict conditions. The Iron Dome missile defense system was developed jointly by Israel and the U.S. Its combat performance data feeds directly back into American weapons development programs, improving systems the U.S. military itself will eventually use or sell globally. Military analysts describe Israeli-operated American equipment as battle-tested. That designation significantly increases the export value of those systems globally. When other nations buy American weapons, the Israeli combat record is part of what they are purchasing. Now for the dimension that generates the least public discussion, and arguably the most strategic value: intelligence. Specifically, human intelligence in a region where it is extraordinarily difficult to develop. Israel's intelligence services have operated networks across the Middle East for decades. That regional human intelligence capability, sources, relationships, cultural knowledge, language expertise, took generations to build. It is not something you can purchase or manufacture quickly. The CIA-Mossad intelligence sharing relationship is described by former officials as one of the most productive bilateral intelligence partnerships in the world. Information that would take American agencies years to develop can move through this channel in days. This intelligence relationship has downstream consequences across the entire region. threat assessments, weapons program analysis, regional actor profiling. This information shapes American foreign policy well beyond the specific bilateral relationship itself. Foreign policy does not happen in a vacuum. It happens in a political system where elected officials need votes and campaign financing. The domestic dimension of this relationship is real, measurable, and analytically important. AIPAC, the American Israel Public Affairs Committee, is consistently ranked among the most influential lobbying organizations in Washington. It maintains relationships across both political parties and tracks congressional votes related to Israel with considerable precision. The evangelical Christian community represents roughly 25% of the American electorate. This constituency holds strong views about Israel that translate directly into political pressure. For candidates in certain states, this bloc's position is not peripheral. It is decisive. Supporting Israel has historically been one of the few genuinely bipartisan positions in American politics. Democrats and Republicans agree on very little. This relationship has been a consistent exception. That unusual consensus reflects the combined weight of multiple reinforcing factors. Here is the question American strategic planners actually ask behind closed doors, not as a moral question, as a pure power calculation. What happens if the United States significantly reduces its regional engagement? The historical record is fairly clear on this. Strategic vacuums in the Middle East do not stay empty. When American influence has receded, Russian and Chinese engagement has consistently expanded to fill the available space. Quickly, Russia has been deepening military relationships with regional actors for years. China has been expanding Belt and Road investment across the Middle East. Both are structurally positioned to benefit from any reduction in American regional presence. From a pure realpolitik perspective, the U.S.-Israel relationship functions as a preventive measure. It keeps a committed Western-aligned power anchored in a region where the alternatives to American influence are increasingly well-resourced rivals. The U.S.-Israel relationship is not one thing. It is a military alliance, a defense industry partnership, an intelligence arrangement, a domestic political calculation, and a strategic regional position. Each layer reinforces the others. That multi-dimensional architecture explains why it has survived 75 years of changing administrations and shifting public opinion. No single factor drives it. All factors together make it self-sustaining across political cycles. Whether this arrangement ultimately serves broader American interests or creates costs that outweigh its benefits is one of the most genuinely contested questions in contemporary foreign policy. Serious analysts on both sides make compelling cases. Does this relationship benefit the United States? Or does it create complications that cost more than the strategic advantages are worth? Drop your honest analysis in the comments. There is no simple answer. That is exactly what makes it worth discussing.